Hyperlapse is one of the most spectacular techniques in photography and videography, but it is also one of the most technically demanding. Over the years, I've been shooting hundreds and hundreds of time-lapses with all sorts of ground-based camera and drones. Drones are an ideal tool for hyperlapses as they can move around in a smooth path, like a huge slider in the sky. In this video I will show you how to get excellent time-lapses and hyperlapses using the DJI Mini 4 Pro. Time-lapses and hyperlapses are somewhere between photography and videography. They consist of a series of photos taken at a constant interval and then assembled as a video sequence. There is a difference between the two terms. In a time-lapse, the point of view is static. In other words, the drone hovers in a static position. It is the one to use when the scene already contains a good amount of moving elements. In a hyperlapse, the aircraft moves, thus adding extra movement to the scene. There are three important variables to set for best results: the interval between each shot, the length in seconds of the short film, and the shutter speed. In the 4 hyperlapses mode that I will analyze later in this video, we can select the interval and the length by opening the small window in the lower part of the screen, and the shutter speed value in the exposure window. It is crucial to use manual exposure to control the shutter speed value and manual white balance to avoid shift of colors in the resulting short movie. At the end of the shooting process, a short movie in 4K is automatically generated by the app. The quality is excellent, with stable footage and smooth movement. It can be used to share clips right out of the camera. Only occasionally I have noticed a bit of flickering, as you can see here. When this happens, I use the excellent denoiser Neat Video to get rid of it. You will find info about Neat Video in the description below. It is possible to save the individual photos as RAW or JPEG for processing the sequence with a photo editor and putting the image together in a video editor. In most cases, I like to shoot 300 photos, as it makes it easy to compute the time needed according to the interval between shots. At an interval of 1 photo every 2 seconds, the camera will take 30 photos per minute, so the shooting time will be 10 minutes. At an interval of 3 seconds, it will take 15 minutes, at 4 seconds 20 minutes, and so on. With 300 photos, the length of the resulting hyperlapse will be 10 seconds when using a frame rate of 30 frames per second, or about 12.5 seconds with a frame rate of 24 frames per second. This is a suitable length for most occasions. The Mini 4 Pro has a decent battery life of about 25 minutes, according to the conditions. Considering the time for takeoff, setting the hyperlapse and returning home, we can comfortably get at least 15 minutes of actual shooting. The interval between shots affects the speed of the movement within the hyperlapse. Due to battery life, we have less choice with a drone compared to a ground-based camera. A 2-second interval produces longer clips with 400 photos, but there is a caveat. At this interval, the slowest shutter speed available is 1/4 of a second, so we cannot set the ideal 1 second speed. With a 3-second interval, we can take 300 photos. Intervals of 2 or 3 seconds are a good choice when the moving elements of the scene are people walking or vehicles. An interval of 4 seconds is more suitable when the movement is mostly in clouds. In this case, we have to reduce the number of images to about 250 for a shorter movie. The Intelligent Flight Battery Plus has a longer life and is an excellent tool for hyperlapses, but sadly is not available in Europe due to regulations. The shutter speed value is the most important factor for hyperlapses, as it controls the motion blur in the moving elements within the scene. The correct amount of motion blur is crucial. If you're serious about time-lapses and hyperlapses, I suggest watching my specific video by clicking on the link above. For drone time-lapses and hyperlapses, in most cases the ideal shutter speed value is 1 second, although faster values up to 1/4 of a second are acceptable in windy conditions. But what happens if using faster values? At the very fast shutter speed of 1000 of a second, the movement of the cars is very jumpy, totally different from what we see in real life. Ouch! It hurts the eyes. At 1 second we get the correct motion blur and buttery smooth movement. For such a long shutter speed value, a set of ND filter is needed. In the description we will find a link to the one I use. I will soon do a specific video on how to use ND filters with the Mini 4 Pro. I will add the link in the description as soon as it is ready. We access the hyperlapse functionality through the icon above the shutter. A vertical menu appears to the left with the 4 hyperlapse modes: free, circle, Corse Lock and Waypoint. There is a small window in the lower part of the screen. We can open it by tapping on the arrow on the right. Here we can enter the interval between shots, the length of the movie in seconds, and the maximum speed. Just above we can check the resulting shooting time and the number of photos. This window applies to the first 3 modes, while Waypoint Hyperlapse has a different interface. In free mode, it is possible to move the drone in any direction while shooting, using the 2 sticks of the remote controller. I do not find this technique useful, as in most cases produces very jump footage. I much prefer using the powerful Waypoint mode. I only use free mode for time lapses, with the drone hovering in a static position. Circle mode is the one to choose for orbiting around the target. It is useful as circular moves are difficult to replicate using Waypoint mode. After selecting this mode, the small windows on the screen prompt us to choose a subject that will be the center of the rotation. We do it by drawing a box around it with a finger. We can then open the window to enter the usual values for interval, length and speed. In this mode we must also specify the direction of the rotation, clockwise or counterclockwise. After hitting the red shutter button, the aircraft will move for a few seconds in the chosen direction, computing its position, before starting the photo shooting. In this case, the aircraft moved to the right for a considerable length before starting shooting, so I had to compensate by moving the drone to the left before hitting the shutter. The resulting short movie is perfectly stable. There is no need to apply stabilization while editing. In Corse Lock mode, we can disconnect the camera orientation from the flight direction. The settings are similar to the ones we saw for circle mode, but this time there is a lock icon above the small window. We orient the drone toward the desired flight direction and tap on the lock icon. Then we choose a target for the camera direction. The camera will remain pointed at the target while flying diagonally, which is a very engaging move for parallax effect. The movement is smooth and stable in the resulting short movie, but we can obtain the same result with many more possibilities using Waypoint mode. If we do not lock the flight direction and simply choose a target, the aircraft will advance towards it in a straight line. This is the only way I use Corse Lock. Waypoint is the king of hyperlapse modes and the one I use most of the time. It is possible to set up precise paths by creating several points. For each point, the position of the drone, the elevation and the camera orientation are stored in memory. The software will handle the smooth transition between points. At each point, it is possible to modify the speed of the flight. Even more importantly, each mission can be stored in memory and performs at different times of the day, in different light conditions, or in other seasons. I will only show you the basic settings, but Waypoint mode deserves a dedicated in-depth video that I will do very soon. I will post a link at the end of this video as soon as it is ready. I suggest subscribing to my channel to be notified of my upcoming videos. In most cases, we don't need many points. Here I will show a simple example made with only 2 points. After choosing Waypoint in the Hyperlapse menu, the small window on the screen says Set Waypoint. I want to start from a top-down view of the square or the little village. So I position the drone and the camera, open the small window and tap on the empty icon on the left to set the first point. I then move backward, lowering the altitude and tilting the gimbal slightly upward to maintain the view of the center of the village. I tap on the next icon to set the second and last point. I then set the interval to 3 seconds and the movie length to 12 seconds. In Waypoint mode, the speed of the move is determined by the distance traveled and the number of photos. The longer the distance, the faster the move. This is the result, a sort of reverse crane move. A classic shot in cinematography. Click on this link to watch my video about photography with the Mini 4 Pro. I will replace it with the one about Waypoint hyperlapses as soon as it is ready. Don't forget to hit the like button if you find this video interesting. Thank you.